be talking about developmental writing strokes. Developmental writing strokes is the fundamental building blocks of writing skills. Before a child can imitate, recognize, and memorize letters, they must achieve developmental writing strokes. This is crucial for their memorization, skills, functional writing, legibility, and speed. So this is our developmental strokes worksheet, which you can find on our website or linked below in the video. What we've done is we've put the different developmental strokes and what research says is the age equivalent to these writing strokes. This is a really good document that you can be using in screeners. You could be using it during an assessment if you're finding the child may not be able to engage in a standardized assessment. You might want to do something a little bit more informal. So starting here, we'd start with the line for 2 years old. So we have our vertical line first, then our horizontal line. We then have 3 years old completing a circle. So what we may do is we could begin from the beginning where we actually write the strokes first and then see if the child can imitate us. Us writing the stroke first essentially tells the child how to motor plan for that writing task, which makes it easier than if we show them a shape or stroke that's already been written. So what I might do as a good warm-up for the child so they understand what they're expected to do, I'd start by drawing it myself and having them imitate me. Then I would do a horizontal, have them imitate me, then a circle, and they can imitate that. A little tip, because it is very common for us to forget vertical and horizontal and getting the wording correctly, my little tip for remembering horizontal is imagine like the horizon. The horizon is that way, and so we say horizontal line. I know that that's a tip that I give to some of our therapy assistants just to remember to use the correct wording. Then I would turn it over and I would show them the line and say, now draw it by yourself. So they would draw the line and then I'd say the next one, so horizontal, a circle, they create a circle, and we keep going to see what the ceiling of their skill level is. Of course, if the child is only 3, I'm not going to then progress onwards and, overly challenge them, because as we know, when we challenge a child beyond what they're capable of doing or beyond what's age appropriate, they can become quite fatigued, they can then become frustrated, and that then impacts the later scores if you were to do another assessment. So then we complete a cross, a square, and then we get to this stage, 4.5 years old. So completing a diagonal line is really important for writing skills, but what we commonly see is children get stuck in this area. This is where children are starting to have difficulties with motor planning as well as crossing midline. That then significantly impacts their ability to do adequate writing. You may notice that they write a capital A and it's a very skinny A because they struggle with the diagonal lines. There are some fantastic programs like Handwriting Without Tears, which we will create some more videos on how to complete some of those activities. We have some favorite activities from those programs that really help support the crossing midline and the motor planning skills associated with diagonals, but for now we'll focus just on imitating lines, strokes, and shapes. So we have our diagonal line, and then we finish off by doing our X and our triangle. If the child does have quite good language skills, I might ask them what they found hard, what they found easy. Is this something they like doing? Do they often draw pictures? Do they like drawing shapes? I may ask them what these shapes are. Do you know what this is? And they may say to me, yes, that's a triangle. So it's important to note that when we are doing readiness for writing and readiness for school readiness skills, there are some prerequisites before we start teaching kids those school readiness skills that's really important for kindergarten. Part of that is them being able to label and identify different shapes. We also ask them to label and identify at least up to 5 letters and 5 numbers. That's really important when we are screening because it gives us a lot of information about what their functional literacy skills are, which is something that occupational therapists work on quite a lot. So in functional literacy skills, it's the child's ability not just to be able to label it, but to be able to use it functionally. So for example, I may know that's a triangle, but can I draw the triangle? Can I make the triangle in a multi-sensory approach? Am I able to then, draw pictures with triangles, such as creating a house with a square and a triangle? If you look at these developmental strokes, you notice that when we are teaching kids letters, we actually are not meant to be teaching them letters from A to Z. We actually teach them blocks of letters depending on where they're currently at in their developmental strokes. So if you can imagine teaching a child an A when developmentally they can only complete up to a circle is going to be quite impossible because they haven't been able to do the diagonal line. But we may teach them some of the, which the Handwriting Without Tears program says, magic C letters. So that's a C, an O, A, D, a B. So you can see that if a child can do these three, they can do all of their magic C letters. If we were doing frog jump capital letters, which is a lot of diagonal lines like M, N, then we really do need to be at this stage of our development. So then it starts to make more sense why we would be teaching blocks of letters depending on their capabilities. So if a child is currently at this stage, I don't want to be constantly rote teaching them developmental strokes. I might actually say they're 4.5 years old, but they only have these strokes so far. I might actually start teaching them letters that align with these strokes. And this is what the Handwriting Without Tears program teaches us. As they advance in their writing and their motor planning and their crossing midline skills, they start to open up their ability to do these strokes, which now means I can go from magic C letters to frog jump capitals, because now we have the diagonal lines and suddenly I've got the whole alphabet. So we can see why these imitation lines are so important. The good thing about doing that is it also means that when a child is 4.5 years old, parents are often feeling worried about their ability to go to school. They want their children to feel confident so that they can have the best time when they get to kindy. So parents being able to observe us teaching them some letters in that school readiness phase can feel really validating for the child and for the family as well. So even though maybe their strokes are a little bit behind, we can still start teaching some chunks of letters. That also makes sure that children are memorizing their letters, which is really important. We don't want children to have to sing the alphabet every time to remember a letter. We want them to memorize it, use it functionally, able to apply it in a phonics scenario so that they can then form words and form sentences and have beautiful literacy skills like our speeches work so tirelessly on. So this actually helps them develop the stepping stones to be able to have those functional literacy skills and really prepare them for school. And that can be really exciting for kids because this is a really exciting moment for them. So using this as a screener system is really important, and being able to educate yourself on what sections apply to which letters and which numbers. And this is very important as well, because when we're thinking about children's ability to write their name, that's a very important skill. Also, recognizing your name is a very important skill. And when we support children with conditions like dysgraphia, often a symptom of dysgraphia is the inability to say out loud sequences such as the alphabet and letters. And then sometimes they start to feel really stuck. So even being able to use a system like this can help you pick up on potential symptoms of conditions that could be impacting that child's capacity to learn, which we know can impact their emotional state. So I hope you have found this helpful. You're more than welcome to download this worksheet and practice it with your clients or with your children. Thank you.